And so I can look at somebody's posture, and especially older population, and say they have heart problems, they have difficulty breathing. I wonder if they have asthma, because that's where those nerves go, and you got to work on that posture and get adjusted.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Healing Hands Chiropractic Podcast. My name's Matt Dawkins, and as always, I have the privilege of sitting down and asking a ton of questions with the doc of Berlin, Maryland, Dr. Tracy Rush. How you doing, Dr. Tracy?
Woohoo! Woohoo! Did my bar class this morning. She really worked our glutes.
Glutes. All right, okay. I hear you. I'm excited about today in particular, Dr. Tracy, and we've got an amazing group of listeners on with us who can't wait to know what we're going to talk about today. So we want to get right to it. We took time this past week, Dr. Tracy, to peruse Instagram. So we're calling this episode For the Gram. And we took time to peruse Instagram because one thing that we know, and it's part of why we started this podcast, is because we know that people are looking for answers, but not like they were 20 years ago. It's different today. Today, if you have what we call social authority, then you are given the benefit of the doubt. And when I'm looking for answers, I'm willing to ask my questions to those that have a lot of followers, or those that have a lot of views, or those that have, again, what we call social authority. And Dr. Tracy, you and I started this conversation months ago, and I am proud to say that we are now in position to have social authority, but we have so much more. We have the education, we have the experience, we have the practical, hands-on proof that when we're giving answers to some of these questions, that people can take it to the bank. So we have 10 questions today, Dr. Tracy, and we're going to zoom through them, but we're going to finally give answers to the questions that people are asking, and I think they're going to appreciate it. So you ready to jump in with question number one?
I am ready.
I'm ready too. So this was the first question that we found on Instagram, and to scratch the itch of all those looking for answers, here it is. Why do some chiropractors focus only on the upper cervical spine and others adjust the entire spine, or even other parts of the body? And what do you do, Dr. Tracy?
So there's a couple of techniques that focus on the upper cervical spine. Atlas orthogonal, CVP, there's knee chest, so there's different techniques. Why they focus on the upper cervical is that's the brain stem. That is life. That is, brain stem right there. And it's such an important vertebra. C1, the atlas. It's holding up the skull. Why do others do full spine? Because that's what we're taught in school. So the other techniques are specialized. We learn how to adjust the whole spine, extremities, all of that. But that is a specialized. What we do is specialized as well. We do a technique called activator, and I actually have show and tell
All
today.
right.
That's my activator. Well, this is my travel activator. This isn't the one I use in the office, but it puts you can hear the click, and it has different tensions on it, and it's spring loaded, so it's putting a force into the spine. So it's much more gentle than the traditional twisting and turning and popping. And a lot of patients or people are afraid of that. They've heard things and they don't want to be twisted and turned. So the instrument, the upper cervical, avoids all of that to be more honoring for the body.
Come on. And listen, if you're in a 30-minute or 1 hour radius of the practice here, come visit Dr. Tracy and see what it's like for yourself. It'd be fantastic. Our next question is number 2, but it was probably the number 1 question asked on social media, in particular on Instagram, and it had to do with what people call the neck hump. And there were so many people that were concerned So many people saying I feel like I've always had it. Some saying it feels like it was something that developed later in life. But the question was, should I be worried about my neck hump? What do you say to that, Dr. Tracy?
Yes, you should be worried about your neck hump. And the reason why is this area right here. There can be many reasons why it's there. Typically, it's posture. The way our posture should be is our ears should be over our shoulders. Our shoulders should be over our hips, and our hips should be, yes, over the bones that stick out on our ankles. That's our posture. But what do? Our heads come forward. So what happens? Stress happens here at that hump. The reason why this is so important, the nerves here, yes, they come down our arms into our hands, but they're going to our heart. I mean, T2, second thoracic vertebra, is going to our heart. So it's sending the signals to make our heart beat. It's going to our lungs to breathe, to tell our lungs to breathe. And so I can look at somebody's posture, and especially older population, and say they have heart problems. They have difficulty breathing. I wonder if they have asthma, because that's where those nerves go. And you got to work on that posture and get adjusted.
Wow. And that's a testament to, we've talked about this before, but for many, maybe it's not so debilitating for you. Maybe it's not causing pain, but we know that subluxation is the silent killer. It's the thing that happens that you can't feel, that you need a specialist. You need someone that's trained to identify those things. And for many, it might be a matter of catching it before it becomes painful or debilitating. So, uh,
Can I
so
add on to that? Children. Look at children now. Why?
mm,
They're on devices, they're on phones earlier and earlier. The earliest I've seen degeneration in a neck was a 2-year old, because he had ADHD and the mom didn't know how to handle him. So she just kept giving her phone. And he was like this. It was difficult for him to lift his head up. 2 years old.
wow, wow. And I'm willing to kind of throw myself under the bus here to say we've seen our kids struggle with this. And one of the things that we started to do, and this is, I know we're not all for screens and for shows and that sort of thing. Sometimes for mom or dad, it's a moment of sanity. And so we started, when our kids are sitting and looking at a phone, we started sitting large pillows in their lap so that they could put their hands up on the pillows, so at least could have a little bit better posture. So
Yay.
well, there is something interesting happening in the U.S. right now. I just read that 10 million people in the U.S. struggle or have struggled with TMJ disorder. And again, on Instagram, it's everywhere. And in some cases, there are solutions out there, but I'm curious to hear from you. Does chiropractic help with TMJ disorder?
What I love about Activator, they are the only technique that did a dual study with a dental school. So it was chiropractic and a dental school, and they did this study on TMJ or TMD because it's a disorder. The joint is disordered. And using the activator, they came up with a whole protocol to help TMD. And so I can determine, is it jammed? Is it hanging low? Is it left? Is it right? Do you have too much of an overbite, underbite? I can determine that by different motions we do and correct it with the activator.
Well, and I saw again on social media that in some cases it could be at least temporarily or short term fixed in an adjustment. That some of the pain quick went away in as little as one adjustment. I imagine it may take some more time to help with it long term, but is that the case with the activator as well?
It is, because it depends on how long it's been there and the musculature, and if it's clenching, you got to get that to release. And we have ways with trigger points. I give you a whole protocol to go with that too.
Love it. Love it. All right, here we go. The next question from the gram, Dr. Tracy, is can chiropractic help my golf game? There are a lot of people out there who are playing golf, and what this particular question said was, I'm tired after 9 holes and my mobility isn't what it used to be. They're looking for help. They're curious if chiropractic can help.
So we live in a golf community. I actually took a class on chiropractic and golf and the golf swing, and we got to go out there and do the proper swing. So as far as mobility, definitely the pelvis. We look at that pelvis. A lot of golfers I see, both male and female, their pelvis is very twisted one way, not the other. So you may notice that your club goes back, but you have a very poor follow through because that's the way your pelvis is twisted. And we see that. So, yes, we can untwist that, create more mobility, but again, it's communication so that your body is flowing better, communication's better, energy is better, stamina is better. All of that can increase so that you can play 18. And I tell my golfers, I say, okay, you're going out today? They said, yep. I said, perfect way, get adjusted first. And then when you get that hole in one, you're going to jump up and down and say, thank you, Dr. Tracy.
I love it. Well, maybe that wasn't just for Instagram. Maybe that was for your patients as well. So that's wonderful. You say golf community. You may also work with a larger, older population, and for many of them, they would probably give you a very clear answer on this next question. But it was asked primarily by a younger generation, curious about joint pain and the weather. This is the question. It says, does the changing weather really affect my joint pain? I can already hear a lot of people going, yes, but I'm curious from the professional.
So you said this question was more the younger population,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Wow. I'm surprised about that because I do get that from the older population, and I'll say when the weather's changing, when it's damp, can you tell when the weather's happening? And they can. Oh yeah. And the reason why is when there's arthritis or joint misalignment, it's going to create inflammation. When the weather changes, when the barometric pressure changes, when there's more moisture in the air, it's going to attack that area. It's going to create more inflammation. So you're stiffer. They may be swollen. They ache more. Yes. So if you went to a medical doctor, would they say that? I don't know, but I see it. 25 years I've seen it.
Well, I mean, and that's why I say, for many who would tell you countless times they've experienced that excessive pain when it was about to rain, or when it was more humid or hotter or colder, that they've experienced that. The younger generation hasn't quite experienced that yet. But this next one actually is an experience that a patient had after a consultation with a chiropractor, and they were curious. They were reaching out to lesser qualified people, most likely. But this is what they said. They said, "Could I still be dealing with pain from a car accident from 3 years ago? And how do I get rid of that pain?" So the chiropractor may have brought that up. It's like, look, you may still be dealing with something from 3 years ago. They were having trouble believing it. From your experience and education, what would you say to that question?
So, hate to be the bearer of bad news, and I am sorry, but yes, when you're in an accident, when you've had a fall, when you've been attacked chemically, if you've been attacked emotionally, those subluxations are created depending on time frame. It'll never be right. It'll never be right. And I say to my patients, if you take a straw and you bend it, it's always going to be weak right where you have bent that straw. It'll never be strong right there. So you can work the muscles around it. You can get your adjustment. It'll be better. It's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same. So it's a weak area, the weakest link. And so when there's stress, you do something, it's going to attack right at that point.
Wow, that's a really cool picture. I'm going to hang on to that. I've never heard that, Dr. Tracy. I like that. I like that. The next question comes from a mom. It was a mom going to the chiropractor. A lot of moms out there, it's hard to find time to go to the chiropractor, maybe because you have young kids, and so that's that's the background of this next question, which says, my kids want to come with me to the chiropractor, but I'm not sure it's safe for them. Do kids need adjusting too, or is it just for us old people?
Well, I've said this story before. I adjusted my 12-hour-old granddaughter because I was there in the room when she was born, and I watched them turn her head and pull her out. Now, that's just one birth.
Mm,
How many births happen in a day, and how many times does that happen where the neck gets twisted to pull out the baby? And so subluxation can happen right there. That misalignment can happen at that point. So we want to give her the best chance to express her life. So the adjustment, I didn't even use the instrument. I used my finger. Actually, I used my thumb. I could feel which way the bone was twisted. I can look at her feet and analyze it that way, and just put pressure on that top vertebra, atlas orthogonal, the C1, and I could feel it shift right back into place. So yes, and especially growing up now.
mm.
What did I say? This. It's so bad. Sports, and they're growing. Toddler falls. How many times has your toddler fallen? Shifts things the way they're growing. Oh yes, and they can definitely benefit from chiropractic care.
Yeah, and we're thankful for the resiliency of the human body, especially at an early age, that kids have the ability to recover from a fall that it would take us months to recover from. But to your point, if there is a way that we could avoid 20, 25, 30 years of subluxation, of the silent killer that many of us, for me, Dr. Tracy, and I won't take too much time here, but I discovered chiropractic at 35 years old. So there are 35 years of damage that my chiropractor has had to work on. And there's some things that we're months and almost a year in now with where we are right now, that my chiropractor, we're starting to see just a little bit of positive change that he's having to work through so much versus my kids, all four of my kids who are in chiropractic care every week, who are seeing tremendous change so fast, and they're recovering so fast and they're so much more healthy. So thank God that chiropractic is also beneficial for kids and not just for us old people, right? That was my caveat. We're jumping back in for the gram. Okay. Uh, we're already on question number 8, and I feel like Dr. Tracy, I feel like we're going to go round 2 with for the gram at some point in the future. So just know if your questions are out there on social media, we're going to find them and we're going to answer them. So question number 8: Can I eat? I'm sorry. Can what I eat cause joint pain, or is it just my job that keeps me hurting at night when I'm trying to go to sleep? Or is it stress? That's what they said. There's sort of 3 questions in there, but can food cause joint pain? That was the essence of that question. Your thoughts?
So definitely, if you are eating McDonald's or fast food or carbs all day, yes, it's going to cause inflammation. It's going to cause gut inflammation, and then overall inflammation, brain inflammation. That's why we started doing the functional medicine side. We do food sensitivity tests because sometimes the foods we eat, we think they're healthy. They may not be healthy for us. And so you're saying, oh, I'm doing my greens, and I eat my proteins, and I stay away from carbs and sweets. Great. But do you still ache? Do you still get bloated? Is there still something going on? The poop test, we can tell a lot by that poop test. But the food sensitivity test tells us what food your body likes and what food your body doesn't like, and the inflammation it can be causing. So yes, but it can also be your job, because
Mm.
if you're physically stressing day after day, repetitive motion, it's going to have an effect on your body. It's going to wear those joints. Can stress? Yes. I was like, yes, yes, and yes. Um, because stress creates chemicals
Mm.
that can be detrimental to our body.
And I love that you said that the way you did, because I think a lot of people put stress in its own category. You don't realize that every single thing mentioned can cause stress. What you eat can cause stress. What you think can cause stress. Your work environment can cause stress. Sometimes stress can cause more stress, right?
Uh,
So yes to stress, but I'm very interested. I'm very interested how well people understand their own body's sensitivity or resistance to food. So I'm glad you mentioned the food sensitivity test. It's going to be incredible for people to take advantage of. Question number 9: will scoliosis pain ever go away? This one on Instagram came with a myriad of profile X-rays and pictures of irregular spines, and in some cases from birth, in some cases discovered later on in life. But there was a general frustration about scoliosis, and the question was, can the pain of scoliosis ever fully go away, and can my spine be corrected if I was born with an irregular one?
so there's different types of scoliosis, and you kind of mentioned that. So there's one you're born with, and best way to describe being born with a scoliosis is in utero. We have 27 vertebrae, and we want them to be stacked on top of each other. Sometimes it's crooked. One side forms correctly, the other side didn't. And so that type of scoliosis is a structural scoliosis. Oh no, sorry, anatomical. Anatomical. So you're born that way. Will that scoliosis always be there? Unfortunately, yes. And even surgery, they put rods in to try and stabilize it, and they may tweak it, but if the foundation's crooked, like with a house,
Mm.
everything else is going to be crooked. So, can you manage? Can it still be anatomically and still be subluxated? Yes. So things can move better within this curvature, but there still may be pain because that's the way it was formed. Then the majority of scoliosis we see is structural. So the first was anatomical, meaning bones are formed correctly, but they shift out of place. And then that causes the curvature. Those, I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of those corrected. And then pain go away, mobility. Again, you got to strengthen it because it's still going to always be a weak spot. Um, but then living a life of great potential.
It seems like it would be hard to know the difference if you haven't. Is that something that you could identify as a chiropractor, the difference between anatomical and structural?
Yes, only through an x-ray though.
Okay,
I can't see the person and say, oh yeah, anatomically. No, 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 no. The x-ray is what shows it.
okay, that's fascinating. I have one more question for you, Dr. Tracy. We're in the home stretch here, and I know even my I have a significant amount of people in my life that deal with this and ask this question. But again, sciatica was a very popular trending topic on Instagram, so we're going to talk about it. The question was, it feels like I have sciatica. How do I know, and how do I get rid of this pain? I mean, I've seen people in so much pain from what they would call sciatica to the point where they would pay $1 million for that pain to go away. So from an expert, how do you know you have sciatica, and then is there something you could do to make it go away?
So that's actually how I got into chiropractic. I had sciatica. So there's different nerves in the lower spine that come together and make up the sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve goes into your behind, down the back of your leg, comes to the side of your knees, and then down all the way to the bottom of the feet, back of the calf, bottom of the feet. And I had that from the top all the way to my feet. A pain that was horrendous. I have been there. I have been there. And so that's what prompted me to go see a chiropractor. That's yeah. And it took quite a while for that sciatic pain to go away through adjustments. It was probably about 5 months um, that sciatic pain went away, so it can be corrected. There are times I have a patient right now that doesn't want to but is getting back surgery. She's got herniated discs with pieces inside her spinal cord. I, I can't undo that. I can't, and she's in tremendous amount of pain, just tremendous. So in the next couple of weeks, she is going to get that cleaned up. I don't think they're fusing it, but to clean out that disc, clean out those pieces, and then she'll be back under care. But yeah, sometimes that happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's to your point. There may be different degrees of pain that you can experience from sciatica, but there are also a tremendous from one end of the spectrum to the other causes, and then where we can that I love that the conversation started with sciatica, but then you in your humility pointed to again the value of the village that we have. We want to be working together in healthcare. We want to be working together for the health of the people that we get to care for. So that's tremendous. 10 questions, 25 minutes. I'm proud of us. And I just want to say this before we sign off that the conversation is going well on YouTube. But one of the things that we want to do, and so even if you're watching this now on Facebook, we just want to say thank you for watching. Make sure, take the time to share this with somebody that you love. You never know the questions that the people, in your sphere of influence may be asking that you just haven't heard. You can serve them just by sharing this conversation. So, and then stay tuned because the conversation is still just beginning, and we're excited to hang out with you guys in the next conversation. So,
Yes.
Dave, we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Blessings.